Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm Jim Hansen. This is my partner Jack Ziegler. Today we're going to talk about gun cleaning. We've had a few people ask about how to clean the guns or what the best way or kind of how we do it. Especially at the clinics, the new shooters sometimes haven't learned how to do that yet. Anybody that's been in the sport quite a while, they've kind of maybe develop their own thing, but we got some helpful hints that might help people, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. A lot of people don't know how to clean their gun.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't even know where to start.
Yeah. So, and we're going to take these guns apart and we're going to kind of show everybody. I do want to say that at least once a year, especially if you're shooting a lot, they should be completely taken apart all the way down to the bare frame. Sometimes moisture gets down in the springs and things like that and can rust and kind of weaken the spring some. So it's a good idea at least once a year to tear them down. So yeah, we're going to be cleaning a Taylor today. Jack's going to be cleaning one of the Colts. So, and they're basically the same. These are blued frames, which they do seem to rust a little more with the high moisture. So you want to try to eliminate as much moisture as you can. Yeah, just tell them a little, Jack, what we start out with. How, what kind of materials do we need?
Well, what I like to use is I like to use these Clorox disinfectant wipes because it takes the gunpowder out of the cylinder real good and out of the barrel. And after I get the cylinder and the barrel cleaned really well, then I use just a Remington oil rag and shove down through there. That way I can tell whether I have any leftover powder in the cylinder or the barrel of the gun. And also that oils the barrel of the gun and also oils the cylinder. And I like to use them oil rags because of them oil wipes, because it makes the empty shell slide out of the gun when I'm emptying my gun. Every course.
Yeah, so when we get done cleaning and even using the oil rags, when you put things back together, lightly oiled is kind of the key to these. Oil and grease, they attract dirt. I mean, that's just a given. So it's lightly oiled. And like he said, the Remington oil rags kind of oil up the inside of the barrel and the cylinders, and make stuff a little bit easier, but other than that, it coats the inside of them and kind of keeps any rust from forming, especially if you're going to store your guns for a while. Yeah,
well, I guess the biggest problem with using any oil on your gun is if you drop your gun in the arena, you get sand in it.
Yeah.
And of course, sand sticks to oil.
Yeah.
So, that's the only problem that I know of.
Yeah.
For using oil on your gun.
Yeah. Well, and I've noticed the same thing with machinery. I guess in my lifetime, grease. You're always greasing machinery and stuff like that, and it just it attracts dirt, but it also lubricates. So that's what we're going to be using today.
Yeah.
Is this kind of stuff, and we'll kind of explain as we go along. You got one other thing there, Jack.
Well, I was going to. When I pull the cylinder apart, I'll get that bushing out of the center of the cylinder. And I've had those actually rust in there, so you couldn't hardly get them out, and you'd have to pound them out. But I like using just a little gun grease on that bushing that goes in that cylinder. And if you use gun grease, then it doesn't rust.
Yeah.
And it's easy to take out.
Yeah. It's a good deal to keep these guns lubricated.
Right.
And it just keeps them working better and kind of eliminates the malfunctions, when you're trying to, make a really important run or something like that. And there's enough other stuff going on out there without having gun trouble. So.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Also, on the pin that goes through the cylinder, I like to use this G96 gun oil. It is a super oil, and it just makes that cylinder really smooth.
And it's kind of a light oil.
It is.
It's
a light
heavy.
oil.
Yeah.
And but I've been using it since I've been shooting, and it's the best oil I've found. I really like it. I'm sure there's other products out there that are just as good.
Yeah.
But I really like this G96 gun oil.
All right. Well, let's pull these guns apart and let's just go ahead and kind of get started. And we'll just explain a few things kind of as we're going along here. Kind of give everybody a quick review. We got some brushes for the cylinders and for the barrels. Some of these cleaning rods.
Yeah, some
with
push
the oil
sticks.
rags. Yeah, we got some push sticks. Sometimes, depending on the situation, sometimes I'll even just brush my guns out during the day or something like that. That really helps. It kind of gets gummed up in here in the frame and on the back of the frame there. So, but let's go ahead and start cleaning these oil. Like you said, you know, these Clorox wipes, they just take the powder right off. And this stuff that we're shooting is basically just black powder, and it's really dirty. So we just kind of wipe off our cylinders a little bit like that. And it really does take it off really nice. And it's not messy. That's the other thing. It's not so messy. I know some people, they'll take a spray, or, I mean, there's a lot of things you can use to break down the powder like that, but it gets kind of messy. And like I said, you want to kind of eliminate as much moisture in the frame of your gun as you can, you know, to eliminate the rust. So.
Now these Taylors and these Colts, they have bushings in the cylinders.
Right.
Like
yeah.
this bushing comes out right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you want to make sure you take them out and clean those, you know.
Now, not all brands have the bushing that comes out.
No.
No, I don't think it comes out of Ruger's.
No, Ruger's, the bushing doesn't come out of the Ruger's.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the bushing that I like to put grease on every time. I like to clean it up and then put the grease on it. That way it never gets rusted.
Yeah.
In the cylinder. So.
Yeah, so we're going to take these cleaning wipes here. I tell you, they just do a really good job of breaking down that gunpowder. And like I said, it's not really messy. You know, and if you got one of these cleaning rods where you can slip one through, it's pretty handy. You know, a lot of times we'll just take something and push them through.
Yeah.
You know,
that gives you some idea of the amount of powder that's left in the cylinder after a weekend shooting.
Yeah. So you just kind of run these rags through there a few times and just look how dirty they get like that. You know, and you can kind of see in there whether you're getting them clean or not. You know, and then I'll do the same thing with the barrel. You know, run the rag down through the barrel, and actually if it gets pretty well coated like that, you know, you might want to switch to another one to kind of help clean things up a little bit. I'll stick another one on here quick. I already ran that dirty one through the barrel, but so here's a clean one here, and just look how fast it gets dirty. So,
well, Jim, run it through the barrel here, because that hasn't had anything run through the barrel.
Yeah.
Look at how dirty it.
Look how that came out like that. So you know, and run it in and out of there a few times to and it kind of, the first few passes, you know, it kind of breaks down the gunpowder in the sides of the barrel and stuff like that, and then it just gets really dirty like that. And you know, and don't be afraid to use another one or two as you go along like this. They're not really that expensive, and you know, a box of these things are pretty reasonable, and they last a long time.
Right, yeah.
And even like in the frames like this, you know, we got the cylinder out of here. You take these wipes and you kind of wipe off the frame in there. Like I said, there's just the right amount of moisture in these wipes that really do a good job of cleaning, but then moisture doesn't run down into the inside of the frame either. And you know, if stuff is a little stubborn, it kind of sticks in there, you know, after you wipe like this, you might want to take a brush. We got some little brushes here.
Just some little copper brushes.
Yeah, we get some
little plastic handles.
Yeah, and you can kind of get into the real tight areas up in here.
And around your barrel, where it comes into the cylinder.
Yeah, and that's kind of where they get gummed up, where the cylinder spins here, and then also where the bushing meets the barrel every time the ammunition is exploded.
Also, what I like to do, if I get a clean rag to put in the barrel the first round, before I put it in the barrel, it's wet, and I like to soak up the hard spots here in the frame of the gun, and just let it sit on there for a while.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
And then I like to run through the barrel, you know.
Yep, wipe down the cylinder pins. You know, if your gun has a bushing like this, you know, wipe off the bushings. Make sure you get all that off of there. like I said, this gunpowder is really dirty. Sometimes you might even need to run the brush around, but for the most part, these wipes really take it off nice.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
I said, it's not real messy.
One swipe through the barrel.
Yeah, yeah, one swipe. Yeah, look at there.
And you've already run your rag
Yeah.
through the barrel.
Oh yeah, just look.
So I just ran it through twice
Yeah.
because it was cleaner.
Yep, and then and then take them these oily rim oil wipes, and you can kind of wipe everything down around your cylinder, wiping the back of the frame. It just kind of helps. It helps absorb the moisture and even lubricates a little bit. These aren't real. They just kind of got a film of oil on them, so they're really kind of nice to work with. Like I said, any of this stuff, it isn't really messy. But you just run them through.
I like when I put the oil rag in the cylinder, I like to put the rag in from the front. You put the ammo in from the back of the cylinder. I like to hold my finger on that, and then I like to shove the oil rag right up into the chamber where the bullet goes, keep my finger on it, and then just keep pushing that oil rag in there, and it leaves lubricant, a pretty good batch of lubricant in the back.
Yeah.
That way my bullet will slide out.
Right.
The empty will slide right out of the cylinder.
Yeah. See, even though we cleaned them, look how this oil rag picked up a little more of the dirt or the blow by from the ammunition. Like I said, that ammunition is really dirty, so you really gotta kind of do whatever you can to kind of get that too. I got a little of this rag like this. I'm gonna run this in on Jack's gun here, and just look how much more dirty it got. It really picks up a lot of the debris and the dirt in there.
Basically what's left after the wipe.
Yeah.
After we use a Clorox wipe, the rim oil rags pick up the remaining amount of stuff.
Yeah. And I got this bushing cleaned up like this. I'm gonna take a little of this oil. I know Jack likes to use some of that grease on stuff. It really helps to lubricate. Kind of keeps stuff moving kind of smooth.
Yeah, it takes care of any moisture in there too.
Yeah, it does. It absorbs moisture. Anytime we can do something like that. But you want to do whatever you can, to kind of keep things working nice and smooth. Like I said, anytime, even like with the grease or the oil and stuff like that, it's just lightly. Then you can just kind of see how things are moving nice and smooth. I like to even, I'll even put a little oil on my finger, and I'll just kind of put it a little bit on the back plate here, around kind of where the cylinder spins. Once in a while, I might even put just a couple of drops in here, maybe where the hammer works, and it just and then I'll just kind of wipe it off, not to make it messy. Just kind of helps lubricate everything. So, yeah.
All right.
But
I got the bushing nice and clean now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a few dabs of grease on this, right down the side of the bushing, on both sides of the bushing. And you don't have to put a lot on.
No.
Just a few drops down.
Like I said.
Then I take and spin the bushing in my fingers, and my thumb, and it'll smooth out that grease on there. And then I'll just drop it right into that cylinder, and I'll just spin a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It feels nice and smooth, and it goes in there. With the grease, your pin stays in your cylinder.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing I do is look at my pin, and run it through the wipe a few times just to make sure it's clean. And then what I do is I put a few drops of this oil on it, this 96. It doesn't take much.
No.
I got a little too much, I'm dripping on the table. I slide it in there and see how it's smooth.
Yeah.
And I like to check it like this.
Yep.
I like to spin my cylinder in it, and that thing just spins back and forth on there like a top.
Yeah.
At that point, she's ready to go back in. Other than the fact I should run my oil rag down my barrel. I don't know if you did your oil rag down the barrel.
Yeah, I ran it down just a little bit just to show them, you know, how much more dirty you got. You know, especially like on these Taylors, you got to remember too, when you push the cylinder pin back in, there's two different
Notches.
notches on there, and you don't want to go too far, otherwise your hammer won't make contact with your ammunition. So you want to make sure you check on the pin like that. And then I don't know, I just kind of like to wipe everything down a little bit to make sure there's kind of a little coating, especially when you're gonna store these guns for a while and you don't use them regularly. It's kind of nice to put a little coating on them or whatever. But yeah, we just stick them back together, and you know, they're nice and clean. You know, everything works nice and smooth. And yeah, you'll be ready to go the next time. So other than that, I think that's probably our tip for gun cleaning. And you know what?
Done.
Yeah, sounds good. So thanks for tuning in. If you got any questions, be sure and, you know, contact us or whatever, you know, send me an email. I'll answer any questions that anybody has. But other than that, enjoy the cowboy mounted shooting, and that's it for gun cleaning.
Let's go shooting.
Okay, sounds good, Jack. Thanks a lot, and tune in next time.
We appreciate it. Thank you.